Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Today we have an 11 spell space swag on a very common Legend League base, and I've included a base that looks a lot like this in the description of this video, so make sure to download that and practice up. So here we have an AQ pulling the Warden in line with the Multi-Inferno Tower to line up our Fireball. Again, using the AQ to pull the Warden in line with the Scatter Shot this time, but using the AQ to line up the Warden to make sure that he gets a nice fireball without having to invest any additional invisibility spells. And here we have some additional swag that you will be seeing, and specifically on a couple common Legend League bases. We have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spell swag. So yeah. Alright, so we're going to start with the common Legend League base first. You see this all the time, and what makes this possible, only using 3 spells, 1 invisibility spell, and 2 earthquakes, is that we are going to funnel one side of the Warden Fireball pathing with our Flame Flinger. So then, on the other side, opposite of the Flame Flinger, we'll only have to drop down 1 invisibility spell to get the Fireball to go into the core. So notice we have the Flame Flinger coming in near 12. Flame Flinger is to eliminate this Ricochet Cannon, one of these Teslas, perhaps even the Wizard Tower, but we really just only need this Ricochet Cannon to go down. And notice what the Warden's doing. The Warden is distracting the Expo so that the Expo can't target the Flame Flinger. Just going to drop in some archers, eliminate some of these corner trash buildings. So Warden, just being patient with him, sending in some rocket moons to help eliminate this Ricochet Cannon for better timing, because we need that Ricochet Cannon to go down. So Expo goes down. Once this air defense goes down, it's time to drop 1 invisibility spell and get this Fireball into the core at the Scatter Shot. We're going to be a little extra precautious and eliminate the Elixir Collector and the Elixir Storage so that the AQ has nowhere else to go than 3 o'clock compartment, which is exactly where we want her to go. So now the AQ comes down, sending in an Ice Golem coming in to freeze up all these multi-targeting defenses. Multi-targeting defenses are the worst thing for technical attack strategies, so Ice Golems that will freeze all the multi-beams of all these defenses are one of the best troops to counter them. So using the BK ability, EQ boots, open up, give the AQ some pathing, hopefully into the core. And now we're sending in our RC at the side of the AQ, and the RC's job is to corral the AQ into the core. This way they can synergize. AQ goes into the core underneath the Warden Rage Gem, healers keeping the AQ healthy so that the AQ can tank for the RC. And right now our AQ is wrapping. So we go ahead, use our RC Rocket Spear, and the RC Rocket Spear effectively is like hitting the brakes on the RC. So notice if the RC, who only targets defenses, wouldn't have used the Rocket Spear, she would have pushed up ahead of the AQ and perhaps even ahead of the Warden. So by using the Rocket Spear, outranging those defenses, we were able to use the Rocket Spear twofold. One for outranging the defenses, and one for keeping the RC close to the Warden under the Rage Gem and letting the AQ get next to her to help tank, which you'll see in other attacks. And this base, every time you see it in Legend, it's very, very common. You think 10 or 11 spell space swag, it's possible every time with that base. And I've included a base in the description that I'm calling the practice base that's similar to that base, but not quite the same, that you can practice on, and you can perfect this attack strategy on that base so that when you find a similar base in either Legend League or War, you can absolutely destroy it. Alright, so again, using the Flame Flinger to create pathing for the Warden, so that the Warden will hopefully hit this multi-Inferno Tower just to the right of the enemy clan castle. So we got the Flame Flinger, we have the Warden again tanking this Expo. Flame Flinger is going to hopefully come up and eliminate this Ricochet Cannon. Used an Ice Golem to freeze up some of these defenses. Was trying to conserve spells. However, Rage Tower compartments, a lot of times you're going to have to go ahead and use a Rage. So now Warden, Angry Jelly has worn off. And we have to worry about all these trash buildings we left up and his pathing. So notice how the Warden is going towards the Town Hall. We want him to travel south. We want him to go towards 6. And notice at his current location, we might have to use 4 invisibility spells to hit this multi-Inferno Tower. So we're using our AQ, pulling the Warden to get him in line with this multi Inferno Tower. Now we're just using 3 invisibility spells, get the fireball into the core right where we want it, eliminate the clan castle, and most importantly, we eliminate the fire spitter that would have been facing the AQ and the warden. If that fire spitter did not go down, the fire spitter would have roasted our healers and our AQ charge would be all done for. So now, notice the remaining fire spitter, we are coming in from behind that remaining fire spitter, making it useless. So now sending in an ice golem, trying to get this ice golem out in front of this monolith. Notice I sent in some rocket loons. I was trying to sneak those in front of the ice golem and in front of the BK so that the BK would not come under fire from that monolith. However, he did come under fire. But look at this wall, managed to clip just the corner wall of this section to allow our AQ access. And now notice AQ is tanking all these defenses, so we send in our RC on the other side so the AQ and the RC can do parallel charges together and best synergize. So AQ goes to ability, Giant Giant, always bring the Giant Giant. Giant Giant's almost like a second BK, and when the Giant Giant gets low health, he rages, busts open these walls, so he's really like a second BK in that he will give the AQ access to more sections of the base. So a bunch of swag again, and that is the beauty of this attack strategy. It is the best pairing of hero charges, hero equipments, and troops to get you to swag as many spells as possible. No other strategy will allow you to hit 11 plus swag spells. With the non-fireball version, you can even swag 14 spells on certain bases as long as you use some base recognition. Alright, so another invisibility spell tower compartment. This time, to optimize Flame Flinger value, sending it opposite of the Warden. Because notice this Expo. And a trick to eliminate that Expo, what I could have done is I could have dropped 1 invisibility spell over the Archer Tower next to the Expo, right above where the BK is, to allow 4 Rocket Loons to sneak past that Archer Tower and hit the Expo to let the Flame Flinger not be targeted by the Expo because it takes 4 Rocket Loons to kill an Expo. So that's another little trick that you can use. So we're just waiting, letting the Warden, Anger Jelly, target as many defenses as possible so we can eliminate as many defenses between the Warden and our intended target, the Fire Spitter, as possible. So notice using a wizard to eliminate some of these trash buildings to the right so our AQ can pull our Warden down in line with this Fire Spitter. AQ pulls Warden, Warden perfectly in line with that Fire Spitter, use the Fireball, Fireball takes out that entire core section, specifically both Fire Spitters. So now we do not have to go into a Fire Spitter facing us. If we would have hit that multi-Inferno Tower, we would not have been able to eliminate that Fire Spitter. However, we could have potentially got the Clan Castle, but it's much better to go into a Clan Castle than it is to go into a Fire Spitter. Clan Castles, all it does, you have some furnaces, some fire mites, and as long as your heroes are out in front of your healers, it will just stall them up a little bit, but they're under Warden Rage Gem, so your healers can do more healing and keep them alive and tanking for your RC. However, if we were going into a Fire Spitter, the Fire Spitter would lock onto your heroes, shoot through your heroes, and eliminate your healers, and now your tanking from your AQ in the core of the base would no longer be able to stall up for your RC, and your synergy would be gone. So notice RC is pushing out in front of the AQ again, so going to stop RC by using Rocket Spear and try to give the AQ a chance to catch up. So AQ has to deal with this enemy BK, RC is going to be dealing with this enemy Minion Prince, dropped an Ice Golem on the back end, which is a perfect location for an Ice Golem to go. Notice all those defenses it froze up. However, I dropped that Ice Golem way too early. So now I have to end up using 4 spells. And that's how tricky and finicky this can be when you're trying to swag spells. 1 off-timed Ice Golem has now cost me 4 spell space, potentially 5. So that's also kind of the fun thing about this attack strategy. It's almost a game inside of a game to see how many spells you can swag. Alright, so here we have a double rage spell tower compartment base, and I would say these bases are the most difficult when you're doing this attack strategy, because the Warden Rage Gem, healers, it can power the AQ so that she can tank a bunch of defenses, but she cannot tank a bunch of rage defenses by herself. You'll end up having to use a bunch of spells to keep her alive. So we're using a rage on the Warden, getting the rage to power through this section. We have an expo, we have the multi-gear tower, we have the minion prince, we also have this monolith. We're trying to get our fireball in towards where the clan castle is so we can eliminate this top left section. Fireball goes off, hits the monolith, able to get the multi-archer tower, which is important, and the clan castle. Now we don't have to worry about any fire mites. Warden, however, is getting stalled up by this pesky tornado trap, so we're dropping our AQ, and because there's no multi-archer tower there anymore, the AQ can walk towards 12, and she will drag those healers past no defenses. So multi-archer tower is gone, cannot pick these healers off, because notice, AQ, limited range, she can only reach 4 tiles past a wall, so 5 tiles total, and notice that multi-archer tower was 5 tiles past the wall, 6 tiles total. So our AQ would have bypassed that multi-arch tower and drug the healers within range of the multi-arch tower for the healers to all be picked off by the multi-arch tower. This way, we're able to keep our healers safe, keep our healers powering our heroes, which is what this entire strategy is about. It is unlocking the full potential of our heroes. So BK again meets up with our AQ, meets up with our Warden, so he can tank and use his EQ boots to give our AQ access to a bunch more of the base. Notice our RC is coming in to cut off our AQ, to keep our AQ into the core. And we have this hook tower, which we noticed at the beginning of the raid, and we knew since a hook tower shouldn't be placed on the outside of the base, that we could exploit it by just dropping in an ice golem to freeze it up. And now we're saving our remaining ice golem to freeze up 2 of the worst defenses in the game for this attack strategy, and those are the ricochet cannons. Ricochet cannons are specifically bad for this attack strategy because they will ricochet from your RC to your Spirit Fox, kill your Spirit Fox in just a few hits, and they will also ricochet from your AQ to your Warden. Remember, we're using the Warden to power our AQ, and the Warden has just over half the hit points of the AQ. So your AQ will appear fine when the ricochet cannon is hitting her, but your Warden behind her will get absolutely shredded by them. So it's always nice to use an ice golem on a ricochet cannon. Alright, so here we have another common base, and we scouted immediately to see that we have a hook tower. Hopefully we can get our BK hooked by the tower, and where the fire spitters are. So we need to come in from behind the fire spitter with the Warden. And this is another double rage tower compartment base, and I believe these are the worst bases to deal with this strategy. So I'm going to use 2 rocket moons to target this outside mortar, drop in our flame flinger, and we want our flame flinger to help take out some of these defenses down here to the bottom right. Sending in the Warden. Again, we're going to use him to distract the Expo so that the Expo does not kill our flame flinger. And I forgot to mention in the previous attacks, but we're leaving all these trash buildings behind the Warden because the Warden has the Angry Jelly, so he's only targeting defenses. But we want these trash buildings left up and standing so that when the Angry Jelly effect wears off, the Warden will turn around and focus on these outside trash buildings, which will buy us time to place our invisibility spells so we can hit our target. So Expo is about to go down, goes down, Angry Jelly surges forward, and that's something to pay attention to. After the Angry Jelly effect wears off, its range decreases, so sometimes the Angry Jelly can actually pull the enemy clan castle troops. So make those defenses above the Warden invisible, target the scatter shot, eliminate 2 scatter shots, and manage to get the enemy clan castle down. So now we drop in our AQ to pull our Warden. And notice sometimes when you pull the Warden, he comes in range of an enemy hero, so always have a headhunter ready if you're next to an enemy hero. So we open up this wall because we want our AQ to sneak in and eliminate this fire spitter and this monolith. So we got the ice golem out in front of the AQ. Ice golem to freeze up everything. AQ is still going to path around that beautiful funnel that we created because the AQ wants to do her own thing. Managed to get our BK hooked. Perfect use of the BK. Now notice this ice golem stalled up on the wizard tower, top left. I should have used a Yeti to kill that wizard tower before I placed the ice golem, so that the ice golem would have walked closer into the walls and froze up those ricochet cannons, because now the RC is on a sliver of health, so we're really going to have to play this well. So pops AQ ability, and again, giant, like a second BK almost, out in front, tanking for everything. Notice this fire spitter roasting our heroes in the core while you always want to come in from behind. And our AQ managed to bypass the fire spitter at the bottom left, so sending in some minions to help take that out from behind. And we've somehow still got the RC alive, under Warden Rage Gem, finishing off this base, and we're able to swag 8 spell space. So yeah, this attack is a lot of fun, like a game within the game. See how many spells you can swag? Let me know in the comments. Hope you guys really enjoyed this, and make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because all these spells that you swag at the end, you can invest at the beginning of the attacks and unlock all the craziest old fun tricks that the game has to offer. And I'll be bringing a video of that shortly. So thanks again for watching. Catch you next time. Bye.